Shalom Yahal Ba'Shem Yahushai Barakathum to all the brothers. Shalom Yahal Shamar Ilathah Ba'Shem Yahushai to all the sisters. This is ISUPK. Started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under the one and only Commander General Yohana. This is the Las Vegas Tuesday Brotherhood class. What should say? I'll start right here. This is the Las Vegas Tuesday Brotherhood class. And as the title says, today we're going to go over whether or not the Most High God loves the sinner. You understand? Because you know how Christians like to say that God, hates the sin but loves the sinner. We're going to go over that. You understand? My objective is to basically debunk that Christian philosophy that God hates the sin but he loves the sinner. You understand? But before we actually go into that, because I am doing a little bit of a series where we started off with, debunking free will, that free will isn't real. And then last week we went into interracial marriages is actually against the Most High. So debunking that, interracial marriages is a good thing in any regard. You understand? And then, so like I said, this week, now we're going to debunk the fact that the Most High loves the sinner, but hates the sin. You understand? Before we get into that, I'll let y'all know where we're starting at, which is the book of Judges, chapter 3, verse 1. That's where we left off last week. The last verse that we read was 1 Kings 11 and 4. You understand? So we're going to start off at Judges 3 and 1. But before we get into that, just like every week that we ask, I just ask that y'all make sure that you like and share the video. Do your part to, get this message out to the four corners of the earth. You understand? There could be someone, like yourself that is trying to, turn their lives turn their lives around for the better and actually serve the Most High God the way that he is, meant to be served, the way that he has said to be served in the first place. And you're not going to learn how to do that unless you are learning from the priests and prophets of the ISUPK under Commander General Yohana. You understand? So give me a second to do that for myself, liking and sharing. Let me situate a little bit better. Okay, so I'm gonna put this on that side. All right, so lock it. Get that liked and shared. And also, before we get into it, if there's any questions that are online, make sure you post it up online. If there's any questions in the room, feel free to raise your hand, and I will answer your questions to the best of my ability scripturally. If I am unable to do so, I will be sure to get you the answer from a mightier man than myself. You understand? Because we are not like the Christian church where I'm just going to tell you what I think and how I feel about your question. You understand? We actually do, we prove all things in the ISUPK for one. And two, you understand, we don't deal with our emotions and our feelings. We make sure that what we say is correct, and we are able to prove them with logic and the truth. You understand? Did you have any questions, sis? All right, no sweat. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. So I said the book of Judges, book of Judges, chapter 3, verse 1. Where we're going to start. Okay, so again, we're picking up from where I had left off last week. We're just finishing that off with the last couple of scriptures. Last week, for those of y'all that didn't tune in, we were going over how interracial is against the Lord. You understand? Like that. Whatever. We'll just deal with it. How the interracial marriages is against the Most High God. You understand? Just to give you a little bit of context on why I'm even starting at Judges 3 and 1. You understand? This is the book of Judges, chapter 3, verse 1. Now, these are the nations which the Lord left to prove Israel by them, even as many of Israel as had not known all the wars of Canaan. You understand? So now what this is saying right here, first and foremost, this actually goes in perfectly with the topic we're going into after I finish these last couple of scriptures, right? The other nations were set amongst us to prove us. You understand? I remember when I was growing up and I was learning from, my mother's side of the of my family. For those of y'all that don't know, she was LDS, the Mormons, right? And so what they told me was, because I would ask them, like, what is the whole purpose of everything that, we're going through, all the hardships, this, that, and the other. What's the purpose of, of life, essentially? And, they said, well, we're here on earth to prove ourselves to get into heaven, which is partially true. You understand? Because they would also follow up with, the devil is here to also prove us as well, to make sure that we are worthy of going to heaven, which again is partially true. And the reason why I say partially is because of the fact that what do Christians believe about the devil in the first place? It's not what the Bible actually says about the devil. You understand? They believe that the devil is some red dude with horns and a tail with a spade at the end of his tail and a pitchfork, and he's just going to torment you for the rest of eternity if you don't make it into heaven. You understand? Which is not the case, right? The fullness of that truth from what they were telling us is exactly what this scripture says right here, where it's not just the devils, mind you, the so-called white man, our oppressors, that is here to help prove Israel that Israel is worthy of inheriting the kingdom of heaven, but it's all the nations on the face of the earth. You understand? And part of them proving, doing their part on proving our worth is, let's be quite frank. You understand? There is some heathen women that look appealing. There are some heathen men that look appealing to our sisters. You understand? And that's part of that temptation to prove, are you really about your people? Are you really about what the Most High God has set for you to do in the first place? Are you going to obey what the Most High God had commanded you to do? Or are you going to just, go after the lust of your flesh, and anytime that you see somebody that looks attractive, you're just going to jump on that monkey? You understand? So that's part of it for the interracial marriage portion of it. But of course, this goes on and on and on, even past interracial marriages, on how these other nations tempt us in the first place. Do you think you can come up with another example as to how they tempt us, sis?
Material things.
Yes, excellent. Can you expound on that, Baba Kashah?
Are you speaking to me?
Yeah, kind.
Oh.
Like
what they present to us in wealth. If you do such and such a thing, you will gain certain things. So, and with with wealth, money, jewelry, or houses and.
Okay, that's excellent. That's an excellent answer. I just wanted you to expound on it a little bit. So you got material, you got their, just the people themselves, where, when you're after the lust of your flesh, you're just gonna jump on anything that your flesh is attracted to. But you can also look at their culture as well. That's one of the biggest things, right? Because you got black people, you got blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans who recognize that the white man's, the oppressor's version of Christianity, with Caesar Borgia's Jesus starring as Jesus, and whoever they have starring as white Moses, and just the fact that the Bible is so whitewashed that they're afraid of the Bible. They're afraid to learn from the Bible the truth about the Bible, because they just believe it's written by a so-called white man. that they decide to go and chase after the other cultures of other nations. You understand? Sometimes it's the Egyptology, them homosexual Egyptologists in Africa. You understand? Or it could be what do they call the Buddhists out there in China. You understand? And of course, there's many other philosophies and religions and whatnot, Muslim, the whole shebang. I'm not going to go into it, but y'all get my point, where we're going to go and, you know what? I'm afraid of this, so I'm going to go and deal with this. I already kind of like these people anyways, their customs, the way they dress. I like their women, what have you. I'm also going to, go into this as well. You understand? I'm not going to pull it, but that's part of the reason why the scripture speaks about, certain women being a snare and being a trap. You understand? Because when you chase after those women, when you chase after those men of another nation, they are now a snare and a trap to you. And what they're getting you ensnared in, of course, is an interracial marriage, which goes against the Most High God. And then also now you're starting to go into their culture, because when you start to mingle with the other nations in a marital sense, where Book of Judges 3:1 says, and Shalom, Lord of Christ, it's good to see you, sis. When you start to intertwine in a marital status with these other nations, what happens?
You become like them.
Right. And so as you become like them, what also happens simultaneously? So when an Israelite deals with we'll say a Moabite, a Chinese, right? When you start off from following your Israelite customs, the law, statutes, and commandments, and you say, you know what, I want to deal with that Moabite, I want to deal with that Chinese person, right? I'm gonna marry that Chinese person. In that household, you're going to let go more and more of your Israelite customs and ways, and pick up their Moabite Chinese customs and ways.
That's right.
Say one more time. Who's a prime example of that? And make sure you just raise your hand next time. But who's a prime example of that? King Solomon. You understand? Anytime that I talk about this subject with interracial marriages, that is always going to be the go-to, example for me personally. You understand? One of the biggest reasons is because, of course, in the ISUPK, we teach that, multiple wives it's righteous. It's a man's God-given right to have more than one woman, right? And King Solomon had many women. He had many wives. But where did he go wrong? Well, amongst those many wives, that vast number of women that he had, a lot of them were heathens. And it was those heathens that were making him serve after other gods. You understand? It never said anything about, the Israelite women that he was dealing with had him doing, any type of manner of sickness. That's not what is written. What it tells you is that he had an Edomite or a Moabite or a Canaanite or, what have you type of a wife, and the temple and altar and the idol that he raised up for that wife so that they can serve them. You understand? But in reality, when you raise up an idol yourself, when you raise up a building, when you build anything to represent a deity, you fine. I actually needed that. I needed help. But to represent a deity, that's a form of worship. And mind you as well, in the Israelite culture, what does it say about having idols in the first place? Go ahead, sis.
That is not something that we are to do.
We don't even do it with our own priests and prophets. We don't even do it with our own Messiah. We are not to do that with the only God. You understand? We're not to do that with any of ours, so why should we do it for any of theirs? Y'all understand? All right, so we're going to read on from there. Verse 2. Only that the generations of the children of Israel might know, to teach them war, at the least such as before knew nothing thereof, namely 5 lords of the Philistines, and all the Canaanites, and the Sidonians, and the Hivites, that dwelt in the Mount Lebanon, from Mount from Mount Baaler Man, Salakia, I forgot my hooked on phonics. I might butcher some of these words. Unto the entering in of Hamath. Now, verse 4. And they were to prove Israel by them. You understand? And now it's reiterating the fact that these other nations are to prove Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. They are to prove the Israelites. You understand? And where do you see that today? Because right now it's showing the biblical accounts, the biblical, not the biblical accounts, the biblical names, what these nations were actually called at the time that, that Judges was being written, which was, with Moses, right? So when you were to fast forward it and look at the time of today, who is judging or who is proving Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans? Go ahead, sis.
The heathens that are around us, namely the Americans or
right.
British.
That's exactly what I wanted you to get was the Americans, because this country, like how you said last week, that America is a so-called melting pot where everybody from all the other nations, all the other countries, they come into America to melt and mingle and become one together, right? But so if that's the case, why don't I see, why don't we ever see the Chinese or the Japanese, or consider the fact that they just ended the war after 20 years with, the Ishmaelites, the Arab, the Afghanis, butchering it, finally just ended the war, but yet we have never seen since 9/11 any type of news about the Afghanis being on the news, being terrorists. You understand? The only terrorists that they have from Afghanistan is in Afghanistan, right? Since Osama bin Laden has been killed, you don't even see them on the news at all. But I thought America was a melting pot where everybody is able to, melt together and be all one and the same. It don't seem that way, right? It still seems like the system is actually against somebody else, don't it? And who is that? It's the Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. So that is a prime example that you are able to look at and see, what? This is me in the Bible. The Bible is talking about me and my people. You understand? Because this doesn't apply to the Afghans. It doesn't apply to the Japanese, the Chinese, the Africans, the so-called white man. You understand? They're not being locked up in cages. You understand? And of course, we go on with all the diseases and everything else that is inflicted on us for eating their foods. I see you, sis. For eating their foods, but yet who's actually being inflicted the most with heart, with high blood pressure, with any type of disease that comes from eating bats and pigs and anything you're not supposed to be eating? Who gets inflicted the most? So that in itself is not showing you who is being proven amongst the nations of people that are, as the sister said, that are around us here, primarily in America, right? Sis, you had something?
So like you said, and that melting pot theory thing. It's like the children of Israel, the 12 tribes that are here on the soil in the Americas. It's like we're the only ones that they want to actually melt in that pot. Everybody else is like the salad bowl. They all have their own identity. You understand? They want to melt us, mesh us for us to be like them. But as you said, when everybody else comes over, you got a little Italy, you got a Chinatown, you got the African place. Everybody's got their own place. So if you were to consider it a salad, like you have all these different identities, but they want the Israelites to just be the only ones to mesh in.
We have to, like I said earlier, we have to give up our ways, our laws, statutes, and commandments, and go into their customs and culture. Because mind you as well, the white man can deal with the Chinese people and be in the same house and they can live at peace and whatnot. All right, I'm gonna do it my way. You could do it, your way, what have you. I've seen multiple articles about that. How that, they are able to work out in their marriages where, he's Christian, but she's a Buddhist, but yet they're still able to do their thing. Outside, when you really dive into what, who gives and takes within the relationship, I'm just gonna leave it at them, take their word for it, because I don't give a damn about them heathens in the first place and their household. But I know for as far as what deals with us, to your point, you understand, we're the only ones who have to give up our customs, because the only ones who are actually allowed to be called an Israelite in public society is who? The white man, the fake Jew. You understand? Only they are allowed to claim that. You understand? And mind you as well, they claim that with their own culture. Because when you go to the land of Israel, what do you see going on during Pride Month? They still have pride parades. They have homosexuals on our holy sacred land, doing all manners of wickedness and disgusting acts. That when they read from the Torah, claim they understand the Torah, they keep the Torah, but y'all got homosexuals in your streets. Y'all should be stoning them. And they also believe that the Messiah never came. So in other words, the law of Moses is still in effect according to the fake Jew. But I don't see them stoning no homosexuals. But what I do see them I do see you, sis. But what I do see them doing is their rabbis passing herpes to newborn baby boys, because he's putting their freshly circumcised penises inside of their mouth. Explain that to me, and I'll wait. Explain that to me on how the Bible is for everyone when you take the whole picture, just like how we just laid it out and discussed. You understand? Go ahead, sis. You had something.
So, I was just going to say, when you were speaking about the homosexuals and doing the Pride Month, they're not going to go against that, because so many of them walking around talking about they're us. They are just as gay as a $4 bill. They are homosexuals, and they marry the Jewish woman to keep their identity a secret. That's why they give her the creed. She's how you become a Jew, not by him.
Which I've never seen that anywhere written in the Torah, mind you. Salakia. I mean, Numbers 1 and 15, or is it 18? Salakia, give or take. I believe it's 1 and 18. But paraphrasing it, it says that you are to be called after the house of your father. You are the seed of your father. Where's the mistranslation with that?
There isn't any.
Where is the confusion in that? I guess, black and white, we see things two totally different ways, obviously, and reading is one way as well. You understand? Which is also why they can't even understand this Bible in the first doggone place. You understand? Y'all, for those of y'all that I was speaking about earlier that are afraid of learning the truth of the Bible, is because you're afraid of the understanding that your oppressor has. You understand? You're more afraid of what he has to say. You understand? And what he has had to say about this Bible is something that you can't deal. You don't like, and I respect that portion. You understand? But you can't get with the actual truth, though. He has to tell you what the truth actually is. I pray that y'all understand that. But so we're gonna read on. I'm gonna read from the top of verse 4. And they were to prove Israel by them, to know whether they would hearken unto the commandments of the Lord God, which he commanded their fathers by the hand of Moses. Again, like I had just said earlier, we are to be proven amongst the other nations to see if we actually follow what we were commanded to do by the Most High God. You gonna listen to the Most High God, or are you gonna listen to what man has to say? Are you gonna follow after man, what man has told you to do, what man has said the truth is? You understand? Verse 5, and the children of Israel dwelt among the Canaanites, the Hittites, and Amorites, and parasites, whatever, it's a lot. And the Hivites, and the Jebusites, Jebusites. Salaki again. I've been reading my hooked on phonics. You understand? But right here, this is also telling you that we dwelt among all the nations. You understand? We were just like America. What you see here today in modern time in 2021, we about to go into 2022. You understand? We are in Hawaii. We are in Japan. We are in Africa. We are in China. We're in the four corners of the face of the earth. You understand? But amongst that four corners of the face of the earth, I need y'all to understand this because I did say Africa. You understand? We do have a remnant that is still left in Africa. You understand? We have no land that we are able to call our own. Let me say that one more time. Even though that I said we are in Africa, well, you have to understand that if you are an Israelite, you have no land that you are able to call your own.
That's right.
You understand? Because right now, we are in the world, the age and society of the oppression of our oppressors. You understand? Because again, all of our oppressors, the Chinese, the Japanese, the African, the so-called white men, they have land, they have continents, they have countries, they have provinces, they have cities. Man, it goes all the way down to they have streets and they have houses. And one reason why I'm saying that is because some of y'all goofy asses want to sit there and try to represent a street and a corner or a house or what have you when you don't even own it. Right. Don't pay your taxes on your house, even though you paid off $500,000 for your house. Don't pay the taxes. Right. Don't pay it. See what happens. But it's your house. It's your house. Remember, but don't pay the taxes. See what happens. You understand? Go ahead, sis.
And so, like you said, if I may, even in that, paying the taxes, you paid off the house, you paid the taxes, and if they decide they want the land, they will lay an eminent domain law upon you, and you no longer have a house.
Yeah, matter of fact, that actually happened not too long ago. What is that? Right there on Decatur.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm talking about? I think it was right by where that monkey went running rampant on that street corner, and the government wanted to take. It was like a big portion of the corner of his. I think it was his front yard to run a pipe through it, and he had no say. Had no say. And if, you know what? The crazy thing is, and I say he deserved it, but it was a white dude, and he still had no say. They do it to their own people. All the time. You understand? They are wicked as hell to their own people. And quite frankly, I know for a fact the whole reason why so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are so wicked to their own is because we look up to them in the first place. And they are wicked as hell to their own. They look good, though. When they come together, they look good together. They look unified, and you understand, they unified, they strong, what have you. But once it becomes an individual affair, they dirty, they grimy. In this Bible, it speaks against that. You are not to do that, Black, Hispanic, and Native American man. You understand? Y'all had anything else? No sweat. Verse 6. And they took their daughters to be their wives, and gave their daughters to their sons, and served their gods. So not only did they, partake in interracial marriages when, the nation, the Israelite people were amongst these other nations, you understand, they also served these other gods. They serve their gods. Doesn't that sound like what's going on today? Doesn't that sound like here in America?
Absolutely.
You understand? Even with those what are they called? They try to say there's a nation of Israel, a nation of Hamites that is out there in Africa that is actually Israelites, that has kept the commandments for X amount of time, so long. I think it was like the Igbo Tribe or Igbo something. Igbo. So, yeah, okay. Even they're serving other gods. Because the thing is at the end of the day, like I said, we don't have our own land. We have to follow the laws of the land that we actually live in. So if you're in Africa, right, and supposedly they got a big compound, they left alone, everything is all good, this, that, and the other. When the Africans hate us the way that they do, you really think that if they were actually serving the Most High God the way that they were supposed to, and mind you as well, that requires them to be proud of the fact that, they serve the Most High God. We have our way of showing it with the way that we dress, the way that we walk, the way that we talk, and we deal with other nations and ourselves, right? If the Igbo tribe was really on that, why is it that they were able to serve the Most High God in such peace for as long? Because I believe they've been a thing for the last longer than the Atlantic slave trade, correct?
No.
So how do you explain that? You can't. Now that's not to say that we don't have Israelites within that that group that don't really know that they are separate from them, which is the case. Mind you as well, that's also why Christ has said what he said, just to paraphrase it. But when there will be two people in the field, one will be taken up and the other will be destroyed. That's going to be a part of it. You're going to think that that's your brother, and then at the end of the day, when them chariots come, you the one being taken up, and that one gets destroyed. And you're going to ask, the hell, like, damn, I thought he was a solid-ass brother. Nah, that was a wicked-ass heathen. Has no right on this chariot. You understand? Okay, we're going down to verse 8, yeah. So verse 7. And the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord. So what did it say in verse 6? That they were partaking in interracial marriages and serving other gods. And verse 7 starts off with, and the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord. So that is evil. Marrying your sons and daughters to the other nations is evil. Serving other gods is evil. Because as we've already discussed, when you deal with them, especially on a marital level, what follows soon after? You giving up your ways to serve their ways. You understand? And forget the Lord their God. And of course, that's why the Most High, it gets time and time again, gets pissed off with us when we have interracial marriages, because we end up forgetting our God. And a prime example of that is because you're not even supposed to have interracial marriages in the first doggone place. You understand? If you partaking in interracial marriages, then you don't even have the thought of the Most High God. You don't even have the thought of the law, statutes, and commandments at your forefront of your thoughts before you decide, you make a decision. So in other words, you putting the thought of him away to be forgotten in the first place. You understand? And serve Baalim and the groves. Verse 8. Therefore, the anger of the Lord was hot against Israel. Was hot against Israel. Now, mind you, it takes two to have a marriage, right? So, where does it say that the Most High God was upset with the Jebusites, the Canaanites, the Amorites, the Hittites? Where's their punishment for taking an Israelite son or daughter to marry their son or daughter? So now, it sounds like this book is specifically written for specific people.
That's right.
There's no confusion when you apply that practical knowledge, when you apply a little bit of logic. Like I said in the very beginning of the class, you understand, we're not like the Christians where we speak on what sounds good, what feels good, what moves your soul. We don't do that. You understand? We're about we're about dealing with logic and truth. Logically, when you read this and you see that the Lord wasn't mad at anybody else but the Israelites, well, I mean, do we still need to have these classes at that point when you can understand that? Where we still have to time and time again explain that we are different than the other nations? But of course we do, because our people are stiff-necked and stubborn. You understand? hot against Israel, and he sold them into the hand of Chushan Rishatham, king of Mesopotamia, and the children of Israel served. It's a lie. I can't even say his name right now. Chushan Rishatham 8 years. So because of this, we went into a captivity. You understand? In Mesopotamia for 8 years. You understand? I pray that y'all do. I pray that y'all do. All right. We're going to drop that now. We're going to go to the book of Psalms, chapter 106 and verse 34. And so far, do we have any other questions, comments, concerns? Hell, is there anybody that thinks that they can actually, debunk what I just said? Anything that I just brought out? I ain't think so. All right, Most High. Verse 106. I went to 104. All right. So this is the book of Psalms, chapter 106, verse 34. They did not destroy the nations concerning whom the Lord commanded them. Right? So the problem with this, the reason why I'm bringing this out, right, is I believe this was actually going into how we were commanded to destroy what were they called? It's the fake Jews today. What are they called? That Saul was supposed to destroy. That's a lie, right? And it's because of this. So they did not destroy the nations concerning whom the Lord commanded them, but were mingled among the heathen and learned their works. So there's a reason why the Most High God had commanded us to utterly destroy certain nations of people. Right? Go ahead, sis.
Was it Amalek?
Amalek. Yes, it was the nation of Amalek. So Amalek was one of them. I believe I could be incorrect. I might be incorrect, so we're not gonna say that this is so, but I believe there may be more than one nation though throughout, the destruction of the other nations that we let, took upon ourselves to let live for whatever reason, right? So there's a reason why the Most High had even ordered us to do that in the first place, right? To utterly destroy these other nations, okay? Now, what we can see right here is one reason that we do know that we can read from is that it says they did not destroy the nations concerning whom the Lord commanded them, but were mingled among the heathen and learned their works. Because some of those nations, you know what? We would just be too amazed at what they do that we just, what we had just read in Judges. It made us forget our own God so that we would go and serve their God. You understand? Drop down to verse 41. And he gave them into the hand of the heathen, and they that hated them ruled over them. You understand? Their enemies also oppressed them, and they were brought into subjection under their hand. Okay? So those that hated us, the Most High God put us in the hands of those that hated us. Why do y'all think that right there is so heavy? That I would bring that out in the first place. What should stand out the most when you apply logic and being practical? What about that should stand out? It's not written in there, but when you look at it and you read that, there's something in particular that should stand out. Go ahead.
Because it's the way that we are living today. It's the way we're being treated today.
You're right, but that's not what I'm looking for.
We are still under their subjection. We're still under their rules and regulations.
You're right, but that's not what I'm looking for. Y'all want to? I'll give y'all a few more seconds to think, see if y'all can take another stab at it, or see if anybody online can get it.
still oppressed.
Okay, you're right.
So, is this? Are you saying because of our disobedience, because of us doing what we were not supposed to do, which was mingling with the other people?
Now you coming a little closer.
Because we worship their gods and stuff. We stopped worshiping our power, and we took on Christianity and Buddhism and.
You coming closer. Now,
Muslim.
with what you saying right now, keep in mind what topic I'm wrapping up right now. Oh, we're finishing up last week with interracial marriages. So that right there, my only clue.
Because we still interracially marrying these people.
So what should stand out about that, though? About what we just read?
That this book is only for us. It's only talking about Israelites.
You're right, but no, not what I'm looking for. Sis, you want to take a stab, one more stab? Because it says, and he gave them into the hand of the heathen, and they that hated them ruled over them. We partake in interracial marriages. We want the interracial marriage. Either way, they're going to have their foot on our necks. Okay. So with us wanting the interracial marriages, we are saying that I love you. I love you and your people. I love your ways. I will give up everything about mine. Let me be like you. But at the end of the day, and they that hated them ruled over them, which again, like I had said before, when a Chinese and an Israelite come together for a marriage, that Israelite ways and customs and that way of life, that culture dies in that marriage and that union. Because now that Israelite becomes more and more like that Moabite, like that Chinese. Because that Chinese Moabite hates those customs of the Israelite. You understand? Because what's one thing that's a part of that custom is the fact that the Israelite is above that Moabite. You understand? That the Israelite is not to eat all of those nasty things that Moabite is supposed to, that they think that they can eat. You understand? If y'all don't, ask. You understand where I'm coming from, though? Most High Christ. Okay? So again, this right here in itself shows you why you shouldn't even do it. You shouldn't even have interracial marriages in the first place because they hate you. They hate you. You understand? They won't let you be you. They tell you to your face, oh yeah, I love you. Yeah, they'll buy you some things, this, that, and the other. But I mean, that's how somebody proves they love to you. Man, the way that my wives prove that they love me is listening to my correction. You understand? And not thinking that I'm just off the rip attacking them. They are taking, they are recognizing the fact that I am correcting them because I love them. And because they love me, they are open to receive that correction and follow through with it. That's the love in an Israelite, a simple way to put the love in an Israelite's house. You understand? All right, we're going to drop that. Now we're going to go to the book of Jeremiah, chapter 2, verse 11. Jeremiah 2 and 11. All right. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 2, verse 11. Hath the nation changed their gods, which are yet no gods? But my people have changed their glory for that which doth not profit. Man, let me read that again. Hath a nation changed their gods, which are yet no gods? But my people have changed their glory for that which doth not profit. That is too damn hairy. Jeremiah is asking, has a nation changed their gods, which are not yet gods? So has a nation not changed their gods numerous times? we kind of touched on it a little bit last week with the Chinese, where they go from religion to philosophy, this, that, and the other. Where it's what's his name, Confucius. You understand? I can't remember which. Like I said last week, I can't remember which one came first, or how they went from Confucius to Buddha, or vice versa. You understand? They change it from one philosophy, one way of life, one God, one power. Because ultimately, what does the word God mean in the first place? In Hebrew, because right here, we're reading Jeremiah. So Jeremiah is Old Testament. Old Testament is written in Hebrew. So the word God from Hebrew is Elohim is translates to power. So when they switch from Confucius to Buddha, or vice versa, they just switch in the way that they how they keep their power. You understand? How they keep their ways. You understand? How they keep rulership over their people and anybody else who wants to subjugate themselves to their rulership and their way. I see you, sis. You understand? Which also includes the Israelites, because where does it go to say, but my people have changed their glory for that which doth not profit? So you goofy ass Israelites who give up your ways to serve after their gods, after their ways, what profit do you get? What does a Black, Hispanic, and Native American actually get when they succumb to the culture of the Chinese or the African or the white man? What profit do they make? I can tell we can go on a long ass list of deficits that we take, though. You understand? One of the biggest ones that is, I would arguably, so this is my opinion, that one of the biggest things that we lose, which I believe is the very first step, in my opinion, when rebuilding our people, Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, is our identity. Because they do strip you of your identity. And that's the first thing that has to be reinstilled, in my opinion, when teaching a Black, Hispanic, and Native American who they are according to the Bible, who they are on this earth. You understand? I pray that y'all do. Sis, you had something?
Concept. I'm looking at 11, and I just want to make sure I'm understanding this. Is he not putting a question before the people by saying what it says? Have the nation changed their gods, which are yet no gods, but my people have changed their glory. So is Jeremiah not saying the people who build their idols by their hands, their own hands, they haven't changed. They continue to worship those things that they've been worshiping for a gazillion years. But you, who absolutely know the truth, you take your glory off for something even less than what those people are. They know that their gods are fake or whatever. They built them.
Okay, so what is our glory? What is our glory?
The Most High, the power of the Most High.
So that's our glory.
Correct.
So one way to put it is, what is their glory?
All of the gods that they made with their hands. Right,
because of course, when they win a war, all throughout time, it's, God bless America. It's, Ares was with us, Zeus was with us. Yeah, just make sure you put that on all five of us. It's always glory to whatever God that they worship, right? So what my example is with the Chinese. So we'll do one a little bit better, a little bit easier, I think. Actually, I should have started with this. Going from the Greeks to the Romans to today. The Greeks had similar gods to the Romans. They're basically a carbon print with just a different name, which should sound familiar. But anyways, it's a carbon print with different names. twist up the story a little bit. Instead of him sleeping with this brother, he slept with this other brother.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, they changed their gods, which they're not even gods in the first place, right? Now to go on to the second half of it, right, where it speaks about us, our God had always remained, because time and time again, what always ends up happening whenever we start to serve their gods, we wake up, realize, oh, I fucked up. Let me go back to my God. When their gods get destroyed, they recreate a new God, which is hence the Greeks to the Romans, right? But so when we give up our God, giving up our glory, what do we give up our glory and our God for? Obviously, it's no profit, as it says, but we give up our God for their God, of which we get no profit from. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Did I answer your question, or did you have more?
I don't know.
No, okay. No, help me understand. Maybe I'm not understanding your question.
Because I'm saying, is it Jeremiah explaining to them that these people who know their God has no power, they don't change theirs, but you who know your God is all powerful, you keep changing him just over, somebody come and say, okay, this twig is what we're going to worship today. And you say, okay, and you just throw the Most High away and start worshiping that twig.
Okay, so I think I understand your confusion. They do change their gods. That's why I said from the Greeks to the Romans, because who are the Greeks?
The same people as the Romans.
Make sure you raise your hand next time. But right, that is the Edomites, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. So, but are the gods from Greek to Rome, are they the exact same, or did they change their gods? Did they change some of the customs? It was right. So, and then mind you as well, you go from Greek to Rome to today here in America, where we still do partake in the worship of the Roman gods. And when I say we, I mean America, Salakia. You understand? Because they just had Christmas. What's coming up next in a couple of days? This weekend, I believe.
New Year's.
So it's about to be New Year's. So when New Year's coming up, that is in the worship of the Roman Janus, right? Which I actually, next week, I think I'm going to do some research and teach a little class on Janus and touch on Christmas as well. It'll be a little late, but, better late than never. But so here in America, America still recognizes the Roman god Janus. Mm-hmm. Now, if I remember correctly, I believe that the holiday for them is called like the Winter Veil or something like that. And it goes on for, I think it's about maybe a week, maybe a little less than a week. It's more than one day from the way that they actually did it, right? Mm-hmm. I'm gonna fact check that. Like I said, I'll probably teach a class on that going into Tuesday, all right? But so that God still remains, but is that the God that America actually serves?
Same God, different name? Same ideology, different name?
It's a similar ideology, because the Christian God of America is a God. It's a whore that marries everybody, marries all the other nations, marries all the other customs. And what I mean by that is that is a custom that comes from the Romans. Then you've got Easter, what comes from the Egyptians. You got Halloween, which comes from the Celtic Druids. This is a God that is marrying all the other gods. Now, ultimately, what or who, but I'm going to leave it at what. What is the God of America?
Jesus. The Christian.
No. Because that white Jesus brings in this God. That's my hint. What is the God of this country, of this nation?
I'm lost. Oh, capitalism.
But make it simplify that. Simplify capitalism.
Oh, money.
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 Because what does white Jesus bring in? Money. What was that article that we had that was circulating on the Facebook not too long ago about how the Christian church and the black Christian church, I think in the last 10 years, was it 5 or 10 years?
I think it was 10,
800 billion with a B, $800 billion. The black Christian church has brought in. It sounds like white Jesus. Whew, man, that white Jesus is serving his God. I see why they say that is the Messiah of that religion. You understand? Because when you have a religion that serves after money and white Jesus is doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing, yeah, hey, I see why you put white Jesus as the Messiah. I understand it. I find it very offensive. It's blasphemy. It pisses me the hell off that you pimping off my king, his image, and what he did for his people. But at the same time, on the flip side of that coin, hey, I see why you did it. When you all about that money, when your God is money, and you just after your God, hey, I see why you did it. Now, mind you as well, what did their God also marry into? When you go into October, Halloween, the Druid Celtics. That money married the Druid Celtics so that you get that revenue of money in Halloween in October. Easter, Egyptologists, same thing. The Romans, you understand? Christmas, whatever holiday you can think of here in America. It's even to the point where America makes these, this is the indigenous month or whatever. Why do you think that they're doing that? Because they're trying to pimp off our Gadite brothers and sisters for a whole month. You understand? That library actually makes a bit of revenue during, November, during February, during May, because those are the months that our people, that our oppressors, because all of them is in on this, but that is the time that they had allotted for us to get some recognition. You understand? And if you have a father like myself, during February, hey, Black History Month, I want you to write me a paper for me. And mind you, this had nothing to do with school at all. I want you to write me a paper and tell me about a black man or a woman that had invented something in America. You understand? So now, of course, I had, I was a child at the time, and I also had the school library, which they make money off of you if you late. But for those of y'all that, all of a sudden you become, pro-black, and I'm about my people during February, or, I'm pro-Mexican in May, but in, the other 11 months you voting for Trump. You understand? And mind you, I say that for a reason, because there was a Mexican brother, an Israelite brother in my old neighborhood that I used to live in. Like, this dude got a low ass little, he got the whole shebang. Look like he decked out his truck like an Israelite, straight Israelite, but then fucked it up by putting the American flag and a Trump flag on the back of his truck. If y'all have ever been to Vegas, I believe Captain Tazariak has spoken about this when they was out here, on how like it's kind of in your face racism, but at the same time it's not. When you on the street and people just got the Trump and American flag on the back of their truck, that's what he got going, and he's straight up Mexican. You understand? But do you understand what I'm saying though? With just how money married into these other nations and brought their gods into this, right? But ultimately, the Romans, that wasn't their way in Greece. That wasn't their way in Rome. But it is their way today to worship that money the way that they do. In fact, I believe in Rome, they worship their military more than anything. Like, they actually treated their military way better than what they do today. I had to fight tooth and nail for my broken ass body to get the percentage that I'm old and still don't even have all of it. I'm missing 10%. So like, you understand? But still. So okay, now do you understand? Are you sure? Okay. I'm just making sure, sis. I'm just making sure. Okay. Okay, yeah, we're gonna we'll drop that so we can finally wrap this one up. We're gonna go to the book of Ezra, chapter 9, verse 2. Because there's somebody over here watching our class and then trying to send me links to their classes. Oh my God, did he take my book? What you looking for, sis?
I'm trying to remember if I got my book back.
You need an apocrypha?
Yeah.
What?
Is that mine?
I believe your apocrypha look better than mine.
Is it chapter 2?
I let the young man use it. And I don't.
Which young man?
The one that was with.
He was not here.
This is my book.
Last Thursday?
Yeah, this is mine.
It is? You marked it? Because I do have 2 in my book bag. Okay, all right.
Yeah. Oh, God, I was nervous.
Oh, well, then Salaki, that's my fault.
Okay, where are we going again?
Ezra, chapter 9, verse 2. No, Ezra, not Esdras.
Oh.
Ezra. It's in the Old Testament.
Oh,
It is after the book of Nehemiah. Oh, Salaki. After 2 Chronicles, before Nehemiah.
Yeah. I just thought he said Esdras.
No sweat. I'll wait until y'all get there.
That's my family kicking heart.
Yeah, my fault, sis. I don't even know how that even happened.
Because that's how you said Esdras for the Apocrypha. But you said Ezra.
Oh, I thought no. So like that's my fault. I thought you were still talking about the Apocrypha that you was worried about misplacing it or something.
It's like you said one more time. We're going to Ezra
9 and 2. We're gonna go to 2, and then
9 and 2. Got it.
Yeah, actually, yeah. So we're gonna go to 9 and 2, and then after we read verse 2, we're gonna drop down to verse 8, and then we'll be wrapped up for interracial marriages. It's a lot. So obviously, we're gonna have a part 2 for the actual subject I was supposed to go on to today. It's a lot here for the sidebars that I had, and taking so doggone long, but if I may, like I had said last week, the interracial marriages, according to the Bible, it's a heavy topic for myself. Obviously, because it's something that's affected me in not even in the world, but also my process of coming into the truth. You understand? And if I can prevent a brother or a sister, especially a sister, that's something that I'm also dealing with on a personal level, where a sister has a child by a heathen, and we have these events, holy days, these gatherings and whatnot, and she can't, her child can't partake. That's a heavy burden on the woman, and especially when you come into the truth and you learn about what's going to happen to the other nations, and salvation is only for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. So if you outside that circle, for salvation to happen, destruction is a simultaneous thing. You understand? This subject is big because this subject is big for me because if I'm able to prevent, what my father did when, going forth with creating us being, me, myself, and my siblings, or even, that sister that, any sister that, thinks to deal with the heathen, this subject is something that really needs to be pushed as hard as, I'm trying to push it. So I pray that I am really pushing the point as much as it needs to be, but I believe, just like I think I need to do even more to keep it a buck. You understand? But I just think this is a very heavy topic because of just the destruction, confusion that comes forth. I see you, sis. That comes forth when you partake in interracial marriages. You understand? Go ahead, sis.
That's lucky, sir. And I can't remember if it's in the Apocrypha or it's in the Old Testament, but the oppressor understands that as long as they can keep us being disobedient, our power will not fight for us. And the greatest disobedience is interracial marriage. I mean, it's greater than celebrating Christmas, being a Christian, and all. It's like it keeps us being disobedient.
You're right. And you know what's really heavy and crazy about what you just said? When you partake interracial marriages, take for example, when you get children that are like Bob Marley, for example, right? Mm-hmm. Unless you are like me, where you come into the truth, and I didn't know that Bob Marley was a white dude until I came into the truth. His father is a white man. You understand? He comes from the seed of Esau. You understand? So before the truth, I thought he was a brother. So say that you all pro-black and this, that, and the other, any type of unification with black people, and you also partake in colorism, like, especially the so-called Negroes we all guilty of it. But the so-called Negroes is real heavy on that because, light skin, dark skin, the rivalry that we have. Mind you as well, the other nations have that as well. But here in America, that's one thing that we understand, right? Mm-hmm. They look at Bob Marley as a brother.
That's right.
And to what you were saying about being disobedient and whatnot, what's heavy about that is when you have heathens that look like Bob Marley and act in the way that they act, when in reality they're actually white folk, they're Edomites, but they're acting up, screaming and hollering in the grocery store and stealing and just acting like they own and run the goddamn earth, which, it's in their spirit. How does everybody who partakes in colorism look at them? Oh, this nigga think he owns shit. Oh, this nigga think that, he can do whatever he wants. Right. Oh, this nigga, it's nigga this, nigga that. It's your people, but you're able to use your own people as propaganda against us. Mm-hmm. Y'all understand? I pray that y'all understand that. Go ahead, sis.
That's a lot, sir. If I may, there is a young man who is a race car driver. Now, in the South, everybody's named Bubba. He's
or Bo. Or Bo.
Right. But this Bubba looks like me. But this Bubba ain't me. This Bubba has a mother that looks like me, but his daddy is an oppressor. But whenever anybody sees this Bubba, they want to hang a rope up, talk about, but it's like he's not us.
Right.
And like the brother was commenting on you last week about, who is this white boy trying to teach us? It's like, but he's not white. His daddy is a black man, black like me, right? So it's
and you met my father.
Absolutely.
And his daddy.
Absolutely.
Like him.
So it's like they just that colorism thing is something.
It's a wicked heavy demon on our people, because mind you as well, like I said before, how we follow after the oppressor because of how they treat their own. That's we do that because we follow after them. That's right. It's the only reason why we do that. Just like how we actually partake in colorism like they do, because we look up to them. In the first, they taught us all of these things. They had, mind you as well, at that time, they had to beat it out of us. They had to be, and even then, it wasn't even fully beaten out of us. You know why? Think about it. of course, there was those financial gains that they got out of, Emancipation Proclamation, right? But there's more to it than just that. If we can say that, oh, I freed you, because isn't that something that they talk about today? Oh, we should have never freed you. We should have never done this. We should have never done that. A big reason why they did that is because now it's, okay, I was against you, but now you trying to give me a chance. Now it's not, I don't have to feel like I have to fight you. Now it's more of, man, I thank you for giving me this opportunity. Who are you supposed to be thinking like that in the first place? The Most High. Exactly. We damn near say in our personal prayers. Man, thank you, Lord, for this food, for the food that you feed me with. Thank you, Lord, for allowing me to wake up today. Absolutely. Thank you, Lord, for this. Thank you for that. But you saying thank you, thank you, Massa, for giving me this opportunity to show that I'm not like the rest of these niggas, that we not all the same, that I'm not rebellious like this. I'm not, I can be docile. My people can be docile, and through me, we will survive. But it's always, the crazy thing is for the most part, it's the docile ones be the main ones being shot dead in the news. If you think about it, because they really don't be pressing them. The ones that are actually, warriors are warriors against the wrong enemy, because they warriors against their own kindred, their own flesh, their own people. You understand, sis?
So you said the docile ones, and I just happened to be looking on YouTube the other day,
mm-hmm.
and I have to stay away from that place because it makes me want to kill. But anyway, the young man was in his car. He is a paraplegic, all right? And he's telling the cop, I can't get out of my car because I'm a paraplegic. My legs don't move. I can't get out of my car. Being docile, they literally unsnapped his belt and drug him out of his car to where his shoes fell off, his pants came down. They are dragging him belly-wise to the cop car. So they had to drop that issue. And now he was in court because after all of this they did to him, they wrote him up a citation for having a 3-year-old in the car without having the proper seat for the 3-year-old.
Right.
But when you said docile, I mean, and he's crying and he's begging and he's telling someone on the telephone, you guys get down here because they're doing. And when you said that, I just saw him. He's just, and every one of them, it's like everyone that they've killed has had that docile kind of, well, I'm doing everything you want me to do. I'm saying please and beg you, and they kill him anyway.
I got one question. Why? The brother was in the passenger seat? He was
driving the car.
I got one question though. Okay, I got another question. All right. How was he driving the car if he's
because he had that hand stuff, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, no, hey,
I think he had the hand stuff.
I'm ignorantly asking because I'm ignorant to I don't know how that works. Yeah. I know that they've got all sorts of technology and whatnot for them to live, not them like that, but for people with disabilities to be able to live a normal life. I didn't know, so I had to ask.
But now the reason that they stopped him, quote, he's a businessman. He was collecting, I want to say his rents. He has properties, right?
Okay.
Because he came out of a certain neighborhood. Now they pulled him
of course
for because he came out of the dope neighborhood. So they they're gonna find guns and money. They found nothing because he didn't. That wasn't him. He was a businessman. And even though they saw the 3-year-old in the back seat, it didn't mean nothing. He's crying and begging and telling them, I can't get out of the car. My legs don't work. And his legs were like the size of his pen, So, but when you said docile, I just thought about that. All of the ones who died, they were like George Floyd.
Yeah, correct.
he's begging and every
he begging just to breathe.
Just to breathe.
Just to breathe. But go ahead. So like,
I mean, it's just I just when you said the docile, they're so docile, and it's just it's just unnerving for me, and it makes me hate really. So I just have to stay away from you.
No, no sweat. No, you know what? And to keep it a buck with you, that's part of the reason why, of course, from time to time, I'll say I'm a time to time up to date with the news. Most of the news that I watch is crypto because hey, I'm trying to get that extra, make my money work for me.
I know
what I'm saying?
Right.
But I have a hard time looking at the news and Instagram and Facebook. I might be on them a bit, but once I start to realize that it's our people fighting themselves or somebody's doing, like a cop, just being nasty. Yeah, we'll say that. Being nasty to us. A lot of times I keep on pushing because I really don't like seeing that. You understand? Just like, Officer Shabal 5,000 out here in Las Vegas, our camp leader, he will not let me forget. And I'm not saying me like in particular. I'm just saying it's embedded in my head because he, says it so doggone much about what his favorite scripture is. Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 7, for, a gift for oppression maketh a wise man mad, and a gift destroyeth the heart. You understand? When I'm that, at least I like to look at myself as that wise man that's upset. You understand? Where I'm so upset, I refuse any gift you try to throw at me. You understand? Hell, whether it's from the oppressor or my own family. And the reason why I bring up my own family, what just happened? Christmas. You understand? Fine. This is the first year that everybody is on one accord. Don't get me no presents. Don't get my family. Don't get my baby, because I just had a newborn baby. Brakatha Yahweh Yahweh Shai. A newborn son. You understand? They finally didn't get us, none of us, a gift for me to even push back. You understand? Because the last time that happened, Brakatha Yahweh Yahweh Shai. Yes. You understand? Because the last time I had to, go back and forth with them, my nana, my dad's mom, my nana was hot. When I say hot, she was, why did I waste my money to get you, a present? I said, Nana, you tell me why you wasted your money. You don't want to listen to me. I tell you I'm not doing Christmas.
That's right.
You understand? And then, the year before, because that happened last year. The year before that, when my daughter was with me and whatnot, they had got my daughter some presents. Never touched them under the tree, right? And then just one day, my dad, pressed me, and of course I was still living with my pops at the time. My dad was pressing me, hey Junebug, when you gonna open up Rose's presents? We ain't doing that. Y'all can take them back. I'm not even touching the wrapping paper. Well, eventually one day, him and his wife came out, grabbed the present, just started tearing them open, and was like, here, Rose. Like, you know what? You could have taken it back, but now you just gonna have to deal with the toys. You know what I'm saying? Now you just gonna deal with the wasted money. Ended up just donating it. You understand? So like I did forget, sidetrack so doggone much. I still kind of forgot my point with that. But yeah, so like we gonna move forward. All right. All right, so the book of Ezra, chapter 9, verse 2. Okay. For they have taken of their daughters for themselves and for their sons, again, going back onto interracial marriages, right? So that the holy seed, gotta say that one more time. So that the holy seed, who can tell me we're not moving forward till we get an understanding of what holy means? Who can tell me what the word holy means? Go ahead. Separate. The separate seed, right, have mingled themselves with the people of those lands. Yea, the hand of the princes and rulers have been chief in this trespass. What is the trespass? Sis.
Interracial marriage.
Interracial marriage. The princes, those that are in power, are chief, are the leaders. If I may, go ahead, do what you're doing, because I do got a question for y'all. No, so it says you good. So if I may, I'm gonna read that last part again, one more again, right? Yea, the hand of the princes and rulers have been chief in this trespass. Give me an example of a prince and or a ruler that is chief in a trespass. And I want you, when you give me the example, tell me what it means by being chief in that trespass as well. So it's a two question or 2-part answer I'm looking for. Go ahead, sis.
Okay, so I'm looking preachers, the pastors of.
Oh, you know what? You going down another path, and you're right. I want you to keep going. You're going down another path, but keep going.
Okay, so
the pastors, the preachers.
Right. Now, if we're speaking of that time, it would be the Sadducees and the Pharisees.
Sadducees and Pharisees.
Rulers have been chief trespass, and they like the Christian pastors, they sold this bill of goods to us. So, oh yeah, it's all right. You could do this. It's fine. They pushed it on us because they themselves were dealing with it.
Okay.
They had a love for the people.
Okay. Go ahead, sis.
The so-called black forefront leaders like Jesse Jackson and what's the other one name?
T.D.
Al
Jakes.
Sharpton and all these people that promote us or push us to choose these men over us by voting and or their philosophies.
Okay. So now, what does it mean by chief? It says have been chief. It says, yeah, the hand of the princes and rulers have been chief in the trespass. Now, mind you, y'all not necessarily wrong, especially because y'all were, I see you, sis, y'all was hitting on black preachers, right? That would be more so leaders, right? But right here, what it says is rulers and princes. So this is people in straight, they are in power, not given a position of leadership to lead us out of the circumstance that we're in today, such as like T.D. Jakes. Now, mind you as well, I do not want to disregard what y'all said, because what y'all said was very heavy as far as, pertaining to the modern day with today, right? Still pertains. But what I'm looking for is at that time, and that's why I was also asking, why is it also saying chief? What does it mean by chief? But go ahead, sis, you did.
Jesse Jackson was a chief, or he is considered chief over us at this time. But when you think in Bible time, you had all the rulers of that time, such as like Solomon and his children. They are the chiefs that rule over and that mislead us.
Okay. Now, since I see you, I want you to know that you did say something where the direction I wanted you to go. Because mind you, Jesse Jackson, is he a chief today in some sense because he is a leader? Yes, you're correct on that portion. Okay, but there's something else that you said is more so what I'm looking for, because right here, this is talking about princes and rulers. So, in other words, Jesse Jackson, is he a prince?
No.
Is he a ruler?
He was no.
Right. He's not a ruler or a prince today. So that's why I'm saying, in some regard, you're correct. You can say he a ruler of his Christian sect, his Christian sect. We'll say that, but that's not what we're looking for right now. Go ahead. No, you still got the floor.
But what about Solomon's children?
Now,
That ruled, and our princesses and king over us at that time.
okay.
They are the chiefs of that day.
Now, let me ask you this though, because now you going on his children, you picking on his children. What was the problem with his children in the beginning in the first place?
Their mothers were from a different nation, so they thought were of their mother. So they serve other gods.
I like what you laying down, but mind you as well. No, I like what you laying down. What you saying? You not wrong. You're not. It's not exactly what I'm looking for at the moment. Okay, but you right there, especially when you talking about Solomon, there was just something that you needed to wrap a little bit tighter, sis. Now come on now. You've been itching. You over here flicking your cheek, like putting your finger up, like, come on, sir, come on. I got it. I'm coming on. Let's go. Come on, sis. You got it. Bring me home.
But now, let me clarify something. Are we speaking then or now for starters? Is it then or now or both?
We got princes and rulers today.
Yeah.
We have rulers today. They are sitting in the governmental body, the White House.
But are they really rulers? But are they really in that position though?
Well,
or is that diversity? That's.
Well, I was actually speaking, like the president, or
the president,
because of the chief. The positions that they sit in. Well, I wasn't. That's why I said, was it this or was it that? Because
okay, how about this? Answer the first portion, and then we'll go over the chief portion. Because maybe that might be mixing y'all up a little bit. So that's my fault. She got the floor. I got you though, sis.
Okay, so the hand of the princess and the ruler. So the princes, that's Solomon, not his children. But that would be Solomon himself. He was both prince and ruler over us, not his children. And then hath been chief in the trespass. And the reason he was is because of all of those women that he married. He had over 700 wives and concubines. So he would be both prince and ruler over Israel. And he was chief in that because of all those women that he married.
Give me more on why he is chief.
Because
like expound on it. Like, okay, I'm a dumbass Christian. What do you mean by chief? He's chief.
But he's prince. King David was his father.
Right.
He was the prince who became the king, who was put in charge over the nation of Israel at one time. And so with him marrying all those different women and everything, he allowed this interracial marriage to just filter out through everywhere. And that was his responsibility for it not to be so. He was supposed to set the example by which Israel is to live. That was a bad example because the Most High had already told us no interracial marriage. And it's not like he didn't know that.
Okay, sis, go ahead.
Well, I believe Solomon and his children, you had the northern and the southern kingdoms. So they were appointed through his lineage that they become rulers and chief over the people.
So like you said, hold on one second. You believe that the northern and southern kingdom came from Solomon's seed?
I may not be incorrect with that.
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I am
that's your understanding?
No, I am not sure, but I know from Solomon he had children, and from his children became ruler after he passed away. They became king, and they were prince before they became ruler over the people.
So that part you're correct on.
Yes.
That part you are correct. But just for clarification, I'm not 100% sure this is what you are saying, but I'm just going to clarify for in case, because somebody else that's watching might be thinking this is the thing. Solomon is not the father of the northern and southern. Okay. Solomon comes from the tribe of Judah. In fact, Solomon is Christ. Christ is from the seed of Judah. So it's not even a progenitor. He's not even a progenitor of the southern kingdom. You understand? Because the Northern Kingdom is the Hispanics and the Native Americans. Okay?
Yes.
Just for clarity. But what you said after that, though, you're correct. With, because his children were put into a place of power. Now, before I go on, though, you did have some. Okay. What is it you got to say? No, sir. I know. But go ahead. Wait, Salaki, you still have the floor.
Because the thought is good. Go ahead.
No, good. See, this is how I want my classroom. Like, keep coming to class, y'all. This is why y'all need to come to class. You understand? Go ahead, sis.
I didn't really. It's just that when you were talking about the split of the kingdom, that split under King David's, reign. So all of the sons after him are the prince, which Solomon is one of those, and we agree that his children also, they were the rulers, and some of those sons were just downright hellish. Them princes, some of them were awful, just god awful.
Go ahead, sis.
Also, what's the brothers that died because they were eating the raw meat?
Esau? Oh, the brothers that died from eating raw meat.
Yeah, and his father was heavy, and when they went to war, and he died. His father, when he heard it was Samuel, Eli. Eli's children were overseer over the people as priesthood.
They put that. You talk about on the altar when they burnt.
Yes, but what I'm saying, they were an example for the people to set an example, and they were living wrong because they were sleeping with all the women. They were setting a bad example of eating raw meat. So they too were an example of what we should not be. Eli's children, and Eli himself was weak in not doing what he was supposed to do as a father.
Okay,
my understanding.
I'm just gonna say this. I'm not completely hip to this story. I haven't read it for myself. Mind you, I'm just officer of 50. Still making my way downtown. I'm just playing, but still making my way. I'm not hip to that story just yet. We'll leave that one up in the air. The only reason why I'm not taking that for this class is because I can't confirm it myself. You understand? And you might be 100% right. I'm just not going to confirm it because I don't know. You understand? So y'all got anything else before I put my input now?
So I want you to repeat what you're asking us.
Okay. So I'm asking, the hand of princes and rulers have been chief in this trespass. I wanted an example of who the princes and or rulers were. That's my first question.
Okay.
And then I wanted how they are chief in the trespass. So I want to stay focused on the example first.
Okay. So
you raise your hand. Go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So
No, go
I
ahead.
was saying Solomon was a chief in what he did by misleading the people by the example that he did. He also, by his example, taught his children to be disobedient as well. So they too became chief over the people and mislead the flock as well in doing so.
See.
And they trespass by the things that they did.
What was the thing?
Intermarrying, serving other gods, leading the people them wrong.
Get a sister a hand. Get a sister a hand. That's exactly what I was. Give yourself a hand, sis. Come on now. Just because you getting a hand, don't mean you can't applaud yourself. No, that's basically what I was getting at. You understand? The hand. Okay, so the beginning of it says, "For they have taken of their daughters for themselves and for their sons, so that the holy seed have mingled themselves with the people of those lands." Prime example. Reason why I was asking the question I was asking, because what did we go over in the very beginning? Anytime I touch on this subject, I have made an announcement. You understand? I wanted y'all to make a cliff note of that, to make sure y'all paying attention, right? anytime I'm talking about interracial marriage, who is going to be my prime example on how he messed up? Go ahead.
Your father. Or your...
Damn. Yeah, they getting real person. He said, you know what? He might be my daddy down. I might be a direct descendant of Solomon, but damn, you went a little. Woo!
Sorry,
Woo! It's like when in Django, with that white boy said, no, that's not what I said.
Oh my God.
No, but you know what? Technically, you're not wrong because I do use my father as an example a lot. But no, that's not what I said. I'm gonna give you a mulligan. Try again. King Solomon. King Solomon. He's my prime example, right? Because he covers so many different avenues of approach of what people debate on when it comes to the Bible. Multiple women, rulership, and then, of course, interracial marriages, right? And there's also numerous things outside of that as well, right? So when reading this first half of this verse, you should have already been thinking, okay, somebody likes King Solomon. Somebody that is like my father, since we want to get personal, somebody that is on that level, right? But then we go into the hand of princes and rulers. And I appreciate, you basically saying that I'm a prince because of the fact that my father partook on that. So if he partook on that, I'm teasing though. And I know you know.
You know what I wanted to say? There are many men that don't really, they know by the color of an individual. Can't go really by color, but when you see the skin color, you know that there's something different. And because we are so brainwashed, like I said, my mother, she's really German because her father.
Oh, okay.
German.
Okay.
So, and she thinks like the white man.
Right. No, you know what? And I can see that. I can understand that. And the reason why I say I see that is because now I'm learning a little bit more about my nana, my dad's mother, why she feels the way that she feels, and just so adamant about, her perspective that, just the other day, it shed a whole lot of light on why she's just so against what I'm about. Whereas my father, he can just let bygones be bygones. Like, he literally said, Junebug, my father calls me Junior or Junebug. Hey, Junebug, I understand, this is what you believe, woo. But I can't get down with it because there's some things that like I don't see eye to eye with you on. And that's cool. That's totally cool. Very big portion of that is he hasn't taken the time to actually learn, right? Versus, where I have, which is why I'm in this school in the first place. But if you were to sit down with my father and just remove, and I do see you, sis, I like you. Don't think I'm ignoring you or I miss you. But if you were to remove the ISUPK or Israelite, Hebrew Israelites, whatever you want to, however you want to label, you want to remove all of that and dialogue with my father about how wicked white folk are and this, that, and the other. Oh no, he'll talk all day inside with you. Like, yeah, they wicked as hell, woo. But that my father is still oppressed, because at the end of the conversation, he'll basically tell you that green is king. And what do we just go over? Money. That money is God, right? So, there's that aspect. Sis, you had something you wanted to say?
Oh, so like, when you was talking about when you said your mother's whatever she got, and then the officer was talking about his nana and stuff. So the life is absolutely in the blood.
Yes.
And I mean, this is in our DNA. So since I've been in the truth, I've thought about things that I did as a kid, and they were really normal for me. Like freaking out about the fringes. I used to call them shinglings, and I wanted all my clothes to have shinglings on them because the natives, they had the shinglings, but they are called fringes. So they had the fringes, and I wanted the fringes, right? And it's because it's in my blood. No matter how far back it goes, it's in my DNA. It's in your mother's DNA. It's in Nana's DNA. And it's going to serve, it can't help it. So that's why the Most High say you can never eat the blood because life is in the blood. Mm-hmm. And I just, I was just thinking about that when you were talking.
And mind you, to what you just said, because what you just said was heavy on multiple accounts, right? Life is in the blood, right? So I got two things. There's behind me, don't let me forget. And then, of course, what you consume and put in your mouth. What did they say about you consuming if you were to eat a steak, rare steak, straight from a bull that was injected with testosterone or with steroids? What's going to happen to the consumer?
You become like the bull that the meat.
That anger. You're gonna take on that anger. You're gonna take on that strength. You're gonna take on the attributes of that bull because of what is in the blood.
That's right.
You understand?
And the disease.
No, I'm just gonna say, raise your hand, but you are 100% right. You are 100% right. That's part of the reason why you ain't supposed to eat pork. That's part of it. Yes, because there's no fully getting how disgusting them animals is. There's nothing against the animal itself. I'm talking about the food. When you process it into food, that's what I'm against. You understand? Because mind you as well, Lord allowed what I'm asking that the Lord blesses, myself and my family with is that I can have my own land, grow my own crops. You understand? Slaughter my own animals. The whole I can be self-sufficient, and then also be able to provide for for my nation, for the ISUPK. You understand, brother? Hey, I need somewhere to work. I need somewhere to live. Man, come on, man. I'm gonna teach you how to build your own house, and then I'm gonna teach you how to to work the field, and I'm gonna teach you how to work these animals, slay the animals, and then cook them. You understand? That's what I envision for my future. That is me making it in the truth, and not only just the truth, but just in life where I can be self-sustained in that regards. You understand? So, in the midst of that, I forgot where I was going with that. So I'm just that's the second time. That's twice. I know. I was about to go on to Miami. Oh yeah, you know what? Yeah, no, that was basically the end of that. So now with Jeremiah Hyman, I did have a conversation with him, and at this time it was the first cookout that we had out here. I had just gotten my name, just became a trooper. And he pulled me to the side. He sat me, literally right here. For those of y'all that was here at the first cookout, you know where I'm pointing at. Absolutely. Where the table was at. You understand? That's where I'm pointing right now. But he had me sit, take a seat right next to him. And what he literally told me was, and this is no glory to myself or anything like that, me trying to flaunt. But basically, to wrap up the story, in a nutshell, of the conversation in a nutshell, Salakia, he told me that what I did for the time length that I, fought for my name to come into this school was I not only fought for my lineage like Jacob did, but it was in my blood. That's right. My blood refused for me to be called anything aside from what my name was, which is why he connected Jacob, what Jacob did and what I did. You understand? And of course, I'm just saying, for anybody that has any type of issues with coming into the truth, what have you, first and foremost, I will say, especially if you've got interracial issues, first and foremost, what I will say is, man, reach out to somebody that is great and mighty, like Captain Katazai. You understand, that is an expert on that matter. You understand what I'm saying? But let's say that you might be one of them people that is intimidated by rank, what have you. Okay, you know what? I'm an officer in 50, which is, if you go to a trooper, the trooper would direct you to me. A young man, same thing. You understand? We do rank and order. You understand? So with that being said, man, you want to get down with a nobody that really is a nobody, like, hey, man, feel free to inbox. You understand? Because at the end of the day, this is what our job is. It's like what I said before with the whole interracial thing and whatnot, and why this is an important subject. You understand? We have to not only push why this is wrong, but for those that are afflicted by the identity issues that, quite frankly, I had growing up. You understand? And that I believe the statistics is it might be 80%, maybe 70%. Somewhere between 70 and 80%. You understand? Of biracial children, so-called biracial. We identify, we go through some sort of identity crisis. I would say reach out to Katazai, because Captain Katazai, because he's going to be the best one for you to actually talk to, because he's a much, much mightier man than myself. But, again, if rank, stature, what have you, or you a respectable person, and you feel like, talk to somebody as lowly as myself, I welcome it to the fullness. You understand? Because if I can further do my part on any regards to nullify this interracial abomination that we partake in as a nation, then please, allow me to help. I see you, sis. Well, I never knew that. Salam. Checking in from Baltimore. Come in. Hey, shalom, little Christ, sister.
Kamisha.
What is it?
Kamisha.
Kamisha. If I, Salakia, I wasn't, fully prepared to read that. Again, like I said before, I haven't been up to date with my hook on phonics, so I got a hard time reading certain things. So please do forgive me. Sis, you had something?
So, like you, sir, when you were talking just now, it just brought something back. Planned Parenthood is about the destruction of our nation, and every time an Israelite sister has a baby by somebody outside of our nation, then our nation dies a little more and a little more. So, abortion is not the only destruction of our nation. The actual fetus being aborted. But every time you have an interracial relationship, and especially from the woman's standpoint, you destroy our nation. We destroy our nation. And I just thought it very, Planned Parenthood got us being destroyed on all sides, because we're interracially marrying, and then we're laying on the operating table getting our fetuses pulled out. So, you know what I'm saying? It's just, I just thought about that. And
no, that's every point to bring out at the water. All right, so we're gonna read the rest of this. Okay, so ye the hand of the princes and rulers have chief in this trespass. Princes and rulers, like y'all have brought out, was the people like Solomon. Hell, you can even think of it like no, I can't say that. I'm not going to say that. People like Solomon. And there's also been other rulers such as himself that partook in interracial marriages. It's anybody that was put into a place of power over the kingdom that partook in, interracial marriages. And like I said, hell, what's another one? I was about to say Solomon again. Samuel. I said Samuel. Samson. Samson. One of the greatest, the great strong men of the Bible. You understand? People look at him and say, you know what, he was strong as all hell. Solomon was wise as all hell, and they both dealt with interracial women. Why can't I? That's where your whole white Jesus comes into play, with just marrying everybody else. Because mind you as well, I remember when I first started coming into the truth, my cousin, we grew up. Once I came into high school, him and I became really close friends, cousins, what have you, right? We were real close. This is on my mother's side, right? Then it was when after I deployed to Afghanistan and I came back, is when I actually learned about the truth. Okay, so as I started learning about the truth, come home on leave, I'm letting them know, like, I can't do this, I can't do that. We wanted to go eat somewhere, to go eat pork or something like that, and I'm saying, like, I'm fresh, like I'm still as green as goddamn spring grass, like I'm green as hell, right? First time sprouting, green as hell. This is also lets you know how wicked the white man is and how little understanding that he has of the Bible, right? I remember I had watched just a couple of classes. I watched enough to see that, we're not supposed to eat pork. He took me out to eat on his dollar, and there was something that had pork in it. And, I told him, remove whatever the pork was. And he goes, you do realize that, like, that part has been done and over with. I was like, really? So where's that at? He gave, I can't remember exactly what the verse, I know I can, right. I can semi-quote it where, it was Paul, right? Who had the vision. It was Peter. Okay. Hey, no sweat. It was Peter who had the vision of, all of the unclean animals. And he was like, Lord, like, I never ate this before, right? He was caveating off of that breakdown, right? And maybe, what? After I do my breakdown next week, so the week after, Lord allow, I'll do a breakdown on why it's unbrotherly for you to eat unclean foods. You understand? Because that still covers, the brotherhood of not partaking in Christmas, Thanksgiving, and all these other unholy days, holidays that our oppressors partake in here in America, right? But, he told me, I was like, of course I had no foundation. I had nothing to dispute. So it was just, okay. All right, maybe you're right. He gave me a scripture verse. Can't really dispute it. And further into, keeping on learning, when I came back from my leave, how how retarded I felt, how disgusting I felt when I found out that I got bamboozled by the devil all over again. The only thing that made me feel better was the fact that later I found out that I just had no foundation. So how can you really blame a child who has no foundation for doing certain acts? You understand? And you can take that so many different ways. A lot of y'all see in Hollywood. Oh man, we just watched a movie not too long ago about like some girl's uncle would take her on hunting trips and have his way with her, And, you know, of course, because she had no foundation, she didn't know how to fight against it. You understand? And with that being said, and I'm gonna say this last piece, and then we're gonna, you know, wrap this up. I got a brother. I was babysitting his son, his eldest son. What? Collide is 2, 2, maybe 3. This little boy would not let my wife change his diaper. Would not let me change his diaper. Now, if I may, I had to actually, I held him down, and while I'm holding him down, wiping his tail, because, you know, he doo-dooed on himself, I'll say, hey, listen, you know, you can cry and fight and you doing all right, but you know what? When your mom and dad come home from their date, we can tell them together that I wiped your behind, that I took your diaper off and what I did. You understand? And I pray that my son has that same wisdom at that exact age. But my point is, you know, when you look at that movie, because the little girl was like 5, somewhere between like 5 and 8 years old, somewhere around there. She was young, but, you know, smart. Can actually, you know, speak and whatnot. Versus when you talk about a 2-year-old that only knows a handful of words. And one of them handful of words that he did know was, no, only mommy and daddy can do this. All right? I'm just saying. And I gave them praise. I made sure that I told them, like, yo, I pray that my son is about to be on that same thing. I pray that my daughter is on that same thing, because y'all doing something right. So Barakatah Yahweh Yahweh Shai. You understand? They are amazing parents for that. You understand? But God damn, I hate when I do this. So that's 3 times. That's 3 times. Go ahead.
So like you said, maybe this will bring back. But what you were saying, that is why the Most High stresses, why it's stressed in the Bible, that we are to train our children in the way that they should go. So when they are old, they will not depart from it. For just that reason. If I had a greater foundation, I would not have
foundation. That's what it was.
I wouldn't have had to, and for so many years. But you don't know.
Right.
But he knows. And he knows nobody is supposed to touch his bottom but mommy and daddy.
No, exactly.
And anybody else, I'm going to tell.
Right. And that foundation is so important. You know what I'm saying? It's important for all of us, no matter what the age is. Because mind you as well, now today, I have that foundation. You know, that cousin cutting me off completely. Come to find out, he a queer homosexual. So, and you know how the ISUPK feels about the LGBTQ2K, you know, the alphabet of the alphabets, because they we're calling them alphabet boys because they trying to steal every doggone letter that they can. You understand? Of course, he's gonna cut me off. You understand what I'm saying? And then, of course, what I was getting at with being a chief in the trespass is that they were, even though they were already, you know, a prince and a ruler already in that position of power to lead, they became the leader of the leaders of the trespass. That's what I was getting at with, you know, what I was looking for with being a chief in the trespass. Y'all understand? And so like that all took me so long with all the sidebars and whatnot. We're going to wrap it up with verse 8. We just drop down to verse 8, Ezra chapter 9, verse 8. And then next week, we'll actually go into the topic that I got listed at the very beginning. I just, you know, forgive me for taking as long as I did with this, you know, this topic. But book of Ezra chapter 9, verse 8. And now for a little space, grace hath been showed from the Lord our God to leave us a remnant to escape and to give us a nail in his holy place, that our God may lighten our eyes and give us a little reviving in our bondage. Now, this goes on so many different levels because he damn near just spoke about Christ. He pretty much just, just let us know that no matter what you go through, the nation of Israel always has a way out. You can get caught up in the midst of dealing with another nation, right? Because to wrap up this subject is interracial marriage. You understand? In the midst of it, when you're not knowing what the hell you're doing, man, the Lord is gonna give you a way out. I'm a prime example of it. I spoke about it last week. I was married to a heathen while I was in, East South military. You understand? A double, 2 birds, 1 stone. I step up to the plate with 2 doggone strikes. You understand? And still the Lord continued to give me grace to survive that stupid ass war I went and fought in Afghanistan. You understand? So when the ISUPK sit here and talk about how none of us, all of the priests and prophets talk about how none of us deserve to even be in the seat that we're in, let alone being alive, it's examples like that. You understand? Where I transgressed the Most High God on numerous accounts and still saw me fit to survive that war and then to be raised up into the man that I am becoming now. You understand? Because I'm still not done growing. I pray that y'all understand that, right? So not only are you seeing what, there's a hint at Christ because it's telling us to give us a nail in his holy place. Man, giving us a nail in his holy place. Christ had to be nailed in. But being nailed into that tree he was nailed in was for the sake of us. You understand? For the sake of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You understand? That is your nail. You understand? Because if he didn't get nailed into that tree, I see you sis. Oh, wait, yes, okay. If he didn't get nailed into it, if he didn't get killed, if that cup was passed from him, will we have the same opportunity that we would have? Would we have the ISUPK today? No. What we would have is a lonely ass Yahweh Shai Mashiach in the kingdom of heaven by himself. You understand? But of course, it also says, and now for a little space, grace hath been showed from the Lord. And you are given grace. You're given a little bit more time to get yourself together before that bill is due. Yep. You understand? To leave us a remnant to escape. You have a small way to get out. You have a small way of getting out of that interracial marriage, to get out of that sin that you are partaking in. You're going to pay the piper. You understand? You're going to pay what is due to Caesar, right? But all in the same breath, again, with my interracial marriage that I had, legally and, scripturally, me being legally married to that, to that white woman, man, I was giving a way out. I ain't leave her. She left me. She slept with another man. The only thing I had to do was sign the papers at that point. Because of course, once I came into the truth and I learned that I couldn't put her away, I asked her, hey, Karina, have you slept with another man? Yes. Back on the same bullshit we was on. I ain't talking to you no more. I'll let you know when I got a divorce paper. Thank you. You understand? Of course, I did the smart thing and waited until I got out the army. That way I can milk all the BAH I could and whatnot. You understand? And then after I got out the army, then I divorced her. That's a lot. You understand? That our God may lighten our eyes and give us a little reviving in our bondage. That lighting in your eyes is showing you the light of, bruh, there's a way out. You understand? Your bondage isn't forever. Just like when you lost in a dark cave, when you lost in a dark place, but there's that light on the other end, that's the lighting in your eyes in the place of your bondage. where you can see, all right, you know what? I need to go into this direction so that no longer am I feeling lost. No longer am I in bondage. You understand? And next week, we're actually going to go into the topic that I wanted to go into today, which is, did God love the sinner? Which, hey, spoiler, no, he did not. So like you. You understand what I'm saying? Everybody want to give spoilers for freaking movies and whatnot, but how about a spoiler for, how God actually feels with what he says in this Bible? You understand what I'm saying? And I'm going to give you the best spoiler that you can receive. And that's that God does not love the sinner. And hell, he don't even love the other nations, which we already just went over. You understand? We touched on both portions of it when we were in Judges 3:1. Like I got hiccups, but in Judges chapter 3, where he was going over how we were to dwell amongst everybody else for them to prove us. Well, if they prove in us, what does that mean for them? When we turned him to anger, why weren't they turning him to anger as well? There was only one people being proven. There was only one people pissing off the Most High God. You understand? And that was his chosen people. You understand? So next week, we're going to actually get into, did God love the sinner? You understand? Shalom Yahweh Hashem Yahushai Barakatham to all the brothers. Shalom Yahweh Shamar Elatah Hashem Yahushai to all the sisters. This is the ISUPK Las Vegas Tuesday Brotherhood class. ISUPK started out on 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under the one and only Commander General Yohana. And with that, class dismissed.